AITA for telling my sister it's her fault her son is being bullied. My sister has two sons, Bracken and Neville. My husband and I went to a basket raffle at our local library this past weekend, with my sister, Bracken, Neville, Bracken's girlfriend, and my sister's husband. This raffle is held every year and has many local businesses and organizations donate baskets to help raise funds for the library. There are all sorts of baskets from free messages to gift cards to sports jerseys and so much more. Bracken got some tickets for all of the sports-related ones. He plays baseball and has done this every year, and he's been pretty successful in the past. Bracken then went around with his GF. I was hanging out with my husband, sister, and rest of the family while looking at the baskets, when Bracken and his GF came back to us. Shortly after this, while still looking at the baskets, we saw some Science Y baskets, with projects and books for kids and adults. This type of stuff is what Neville likes. It was going fine until in that section, they had a few baskets that were aimed at girls in science/STEM. When Neville saw the baskets, he called them stupid and started making some pretty awful comments about how girls are too dumb for science and that's why they needed special baskets. He made some more comments like, "This is why robotics club is all boys." My husband and I just dismissed it, but we could see a few people giving us looks, and Bracken made a comment telling Neville to shut his mouth. The raffle happened, Bracken won a lot, the rest of us didn't. On the car ride home, my hubby and I were asking each other where Neville could have learned that language and we were stumped. Last night, I got a call from my sister and she seemed stressed. She was telling me about how horrible Neville's first month of middle school was. She was telling me he was being targeted and bullied. I asked her to explain what happened, and she was just crying. I asked if she could give the phone to someone else. She gave it to Bracken, who told us that she wasn't telling the truth. He said that kids were mocking Neville for what he said at the raffle. Bracken admitted he was telling his friends about it, who then spread it around to the 6th graders. Some of the kids in Neville's grade were calling him creepy and weird, and were doing it to his friends as well, who defended his comments. My sister quickly grabbed the phone from him after. After she calmed down, she asked me what to do. I told her that this was on her and her fault for not correcting Neville's behavior. She said that she didn't know why he said it, and said that she can't just take away his phone or friends when I mentioned both as a possible source. She just doubled down and said she needed to teach Bracken and his friends not to gossip. I told her she was being ridiculous and hung up. She tried calling back, I didn't pick up, then I got angry texts. AITA. Comment. Exactly right. My husband and I play with our elementary-age nephews when we have family gatherings and have made concentrated efforts to teach them about consent and bodily autonomy while we interact with them. We ask if we can hug them, and respect it if they say no, which they do occasionally if we haven't seen them for a few months and they feel less comfortable with us. And we have them ask us to play/roughhouse with their words so they get in the habit of asking for consent while they are young. It takes a village, and all that. When the kid is with you, they're your responsibility. There are lines between full-on lectures and simply stating that sexism is not okay, and that girls and women absolutely can be successful in STEM fields. But this exact behavior is why, if you can tolerate it, you stick around your family to ensure the next generation isn't as shitty as the current one. Kids learn from everyone and are highly empathic. A handful of positive, anti-bullying, sexism hurts everyone, tolerance and diversity are good things. Interactions can have a large impact on who kids grow up to be. The adults might not be worth your time, but the kids might be. All of this is said while acknowledging that going no contact is equally as valid. We each do what we can. Yeah, but my nieces are important to me, so if I want access, I follow their rules. I'm not their parent, so I don't really get a say in how they get raised. I do what I can, but if the parents don't like it, I can't do anything if I want to continue seeing them. There are different ways to go about it, though. Maybe calling them out will cause problems, but there's always a gentler approach. Why do you say that? Have you ever heard of Rosalind Franklin? She was one of the scientists who discovered what DNA looks like. Everyone remembers the two male scientists who published the information first, while she doesn't get as much credit. Do you think that kind of thing happens often? My dad would listen to Bill O'Reilly and Rush Limbaugh when driving me to school every day. I would often repeat things that I heard on those programs which made my dad happy, but turned me into a little asshole. Luckily I have an uncle who would shut that shit down and explain why I was wrong and why I shouldn't take those people's words as gospel. To this day I still see this uncle as the most positive male role model in my life. I'm glad he stepped up where my dad was dropping the ball. To nobody's surprise, me and my dad hardly talk anymore, but I love talking to my uncle. Whoa, I feel this. I grew up in a conservative family that doesn't talk politics but absolutely does encoded language. I've always been the lone liberal, but progressively more as I've gotten older / become better educated. I'm mortified by some of the things I said prior to adulthood. Big picture, they weren't the worst, just nonsense about how my family wasn't even here when slavery happened, because I didn't have a strong grasp on the systemic and generational effects of racism, but I'm humbled enough to remind myself learning is a lifelong process and I should always keep myself in check when it comes to what I allow to influence my opinions. People like O'Reilly, Limbaugh, Coulter etc. rot the brains of their followers. Next story 2. AITA for making my sister choose between family and career? Pretty much the title. My younger sister is getting married. She is a content creator / influencer / vlogger / whatever you want to call it. One time a few years ago she made a video with my kids at Disney. I gave her permission to post it. I felt really uncomfortable and violated on behalf of my kids afterwards with how many random strangers viewed and commented on my kids, even saying things like that my son is their favorite like he's a cartoon character, and said not ever again. My sister has been respectful of this for the most part. Occasionally she has tried to hint that such and such dance or prank would be so funny with them. She doesn't spend a lot of time around our kids though, because we live in different states. Here's where the trouble comes in. My sister is getting married. Companies are paying her to use certain items and she is also getting discounts from some vendors. Obviously this involves quite a lot of the wedding and the lead up to it needing to be posted online. My sister had asked that my oldest daughter be a flower girl / junior bridesmaid. Before we asked our daughter if she wants to do it, we asked my sister to confirm that our daughter won't be present in any of the wedding content she posts online. My sister believes this is an unreasonable request. I said it's simple, just ask the videographer and her fellow content creator friends in the party not to film daughter and take photos with and without her. But my sister feels like this will lead to things looking weird and inorganic and that it's an unreasonable request for her videographer and her friends. We said even if he accidentally gets her they can blur her face, and it shouldn't be that hard to avoid pointing your phone at one specific person. She disagrees, so we said then unfortunately daughter will not be participating in the ceremony. My wife and I believe this should be easily doable and it shows that my sister at least partially wants my daughter involved simply because she wants a cute kid to be in the wedding content. However, my sister is framing it as us being terrible and forcing her to choose between her career and our family. The thing is that as I said she's not super close with our kids, she's great when she's here and it's not like I expect a 29-year-old to be overly invested with kids or anything, but it does feel pretty inauthentic to now claim they're so close that it would be heartbreaking if daughter wasn't in it. I just don't view this as having to make a hard choice. AITA. Comment. It's perfectly reasonable to not want your kid posted all over the internet, and your sister has been fine with this for a long time now. It wouldn't be hard to either blur your daughter's face or not include her in all this part of the wedding. This isn't a choice between career and family you're forcing on her, it's a choice between being respectful and exploitative, a choice between having her name as flower girl or not. However, it is a choice between career and family, as well, just not one you're forcing on her, one she's already made. She had a choice between respecting her family or putting her career so far above family that she bulldozed boundaries and risked losing her family entirely. And she's already chosen her career. Stand you ground. Your sister is totally ta here. Career vs family? Give me a break. Since daughter is a minor, sis can't show her face without a release from you, unless things have changed. I see individual faces blurred out all the time. Sis needs to know that your daughter is not a prop. Let her hire an actress or find one of the girls whose moms have them on reality TV to be her flower girl. Good luck. Statistically, it's rare that you'll bump into a person willing to do harm to a stranger in your day-to-day life because that's a small amount of the population and you only come into proximity with a certain amount of people each day just walking around. It's true that, for example, strangers kidnapping children is a very rare phenomenon. But when so much personal information is available online, even if it doesn't feel like it, you're actually allowing a much greater number of people to come into proximity with you and your family. That increases risk. Beyond that, though, I think you're doing the right thing by keeping your kids off major social media. I think that a lot of kids that are that age and younger right now will grow up and be upset at how much personal information of theirs is available online. I'm currently trying to help a family member get some very private information of hers taken offline because she just learned that if you Google her full name, there's some really personal stuff that was posted when she was a toddler. Take pictures, make memories, but wait until your kids are old enough to decide what they want to allow online to do it.